Thank you, Yaffa.
Thank you, Ricky, for that introduction. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Thank you for responding. Sometimes people are like, they look at each other, what do I say? Like, what? Hi. I'm so happy that all of you are here tonight. I came from Aventura, that's where I live, but I always love coming to Boca, and it's really a pleasure to meet all of you. So tonight we are going to be learning and growing together. Our topic is, did you see the topic?
Yeah.
Do you know what it is? What's our topic for tonight?
Happy
Is the new pretty. What is it going to be about? Let's hear. So, happiness. Happiness. What is it? It is the most cherished yet elusive of all human emotions. Am I right? This is the thing we all want. You ask anybody, what do you want in life? What do you want to be when you grow up? What's the answer? Happy. I don't care what, as long as I'm happy, right? You ask any parent, what do you want for your child? I want them to be happy. Happy. It's something we all want. It's something we spend our lives pursuing. But yet, how many people really truly feel happy? What's missing? It's something we want, we chase it, we pursue it. We want it so badly, and yet sometimes we feel like we can never get it. That's why I said it's the most cherished, yet elusive, probably in the world. So let's talk a little bit about it. Before we begin, I have one rule, because I see somebody taking a picture. I have one rule about cell phones. Please don't take any photos or videos of me from a bad angle. Look, I'm up here. You guys are down there. So like if you take a picture like this or a video like this, you know how I look? Come on, you gotta hold the phone, slant it downward a little bit.
Make sure your jaw is sharp.
And make sure my jaw is sharp. Come on, you know? It doesn't matter if you block the person behind you. It's more important that I look good, okay? That's the only rule.
But Yaffa, happy to be pretty.
We didn't get there yet. But I want to smile without 4 chins in the video. We'll get to it. Okay, let's talk about happiness. The pursuit of happiness, right? We all know about the pursuit of happiness, and as I said, we spend our lives chasing it. Do you actually believe in the pursuit of happiness? Do you think that it's a thing, really? Is it a possibility to pursue happiness, to chase it? Okay, so I see some people saying yes, some people saying no. Here's the thing about pursuing happiness. Anyone here ever been on a treadmill? Okay. On a treadmill, all right? If you're running on that treadmill and you see something at the other end of the room that you want, right? Do you think you're going to reach it by running on the treadmill? No. No matter how fast you run, can you reach that thing in the back of the room? No. This, my friends, is the pursuit of happiness. We run and we chase. And you know what we're doing? We're running on a treadmill. We're never going to reach the thing we need by running it and chasing it. The only thing that happens from the pursuit of happiness, the only thing we get is exhausted. We just get tired from running and running and running and never actually reaching the thing that we want. I'm going to tell you a story now, okay? It's a true story. It happened, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago. It happened to our dear friend, Michael Jackson. Now, Michael Jackson, by the way, was a friend of Israel. Therefore, he was a friend of ours. And he was once making a concert in Jerusalem. Now, you can just imagine, okay? It was jam-packed. Everybody loves Michael Jackson. The place was packed, all right? Now, picture the scene. Anyone here Israeli or anyone here knows any Israelis? All right, so you can really imagine what happens next. He leaves. The show is over, okay? He leaves the arena, the hall, auditorium, wherever he was in, and he was heading back to his hotel. Now, just so you can picture so you can visualize it, he was staying at the King David Hotel, all right? So he leaves the hall, heads back to his hotel. Now, only in Israel. Every single person who was at the concert left the hall and followed him to his hotel. Okay? So here we have the King David Hotel, Michael Jackson walking inside, everybody else standing outside staring. Okay? Now, we're talking about hundreds, thousands of people standing there. And everybody's yelling. They're looking up at the hotel and they're yelling, Michael! We love you, Michael! Right? Now, when there's such a large group of people, who else is there? We have the reporters, the news, everybody's there. Okay, the media. So somebody takes a mic and sticks it in front of somebody's mouth. This guy who was like overly enthusiastic, we love you, Michael! They take the mic, they stick it in front of his face. And the news reporter says to him, excuse me, sir, what are you doing here? What is this exactly? Explain it to me. He goes, it's Michael Jackson. We love him. I'm the biggest fan. I know all his songs. And the reporter says to him, yeah, but he doesn't know your hair. Like, he just walked up to his room. He couldn't care less that you're standing here. He doesn't know who you are. He doesn't care about you. The guy, I don't care. I'm his biggest fan. I know every word to every song. I know every dance move. He starts doing the moonwalk, And the reporter said to him, yeah, but you're wasting your time. Like, you don't care that he doesn't know that you're here? He said, I don't care at all. It doesn't matter to me that he doesn't even know who I am or know that I'm here. And then he said something that made a very big impact on me. He looked at the reporter and he said, you don't get it. He said, it's not every day that I get to be this close to Michael Jackson. It didn't matter to him whether he knew he was there or not. In his mind, he was touching greatness. Because this is an innate need that every single human was born with. The need to reach out of the mundane and touch greatness. It's something we all want. It's something we all long for. And we spend our lives chasing greatness. Now, where lies the problem in that? The problem is that sometimes we don't really know what greatness is. And we're chasing it, and we're chasing it, and we're chasing it, and it might just be an illusion of greatness. You see, because every single one of us was born with a list in our hands. Every one of you. You came into this world with a list. This list is what I like to call the happiness list, because on it are the instructions of how to be happy. What do you think is on this list? I'll tell you. We have, okay, it says how to be happy. You have to be pretty. You have to be skinny. You have to be smart. You have to be popular. You have to be rich. Am I right? This is the happiness list. And this is what we're taught from the minute we're born. This is what society teaches us. And you know what? There are people who have successfully finished this entire list by the time they're 20, 21. I mean, go look at Hollywood, California. Right? Go look at Hollywood. People, 21 years old, they finished the whole list. Are they necessarily happy? Of course not. We all know that. And that's why, do you know who are the wealthiest people in Hollywood? Not the singers, not the actors, not the producers. You know who?
The fans.
The therapists and the plastic surgeons, right? Why? Why? Because people feel that they were lied to. I was told that if I accomplish all that, I'm going to be happy, and I'm still not happy. Oh my gosh, what do I do now? And they have this void inside them, this hole inside them, that they need to fill up with something. So this is when people turn to unhealthy behaviors, unhealthy substances, unhealthy reactions, unhealthy relationships to fill that void. They're chasing after something that they think is greatness, but it's not. How can we know what true greatness is? How can we know what true happiness is? So first, we're going to go through a list of things that happiness is not in order for us to understand what happiness actually is. Okay? The first thing we need to understand is happiness cannot come from something that is external to us, right? No matter how much, okay, this is a beautiful couch, okay, and that pillow, it's beautiful, but no matter how much I love this couch, could it ever be a part of me? Never. Never. No matter how much I love a pair of shoes, and sometimes we do love our shoes, right? Those shoes can never actually become a part of me, so they can never really bring me true happiness. Can they bring me a certain level of happiness? Yeah, right? You're eating your favorite food. It could bring you a certain level of happiness, but it can never bring you true happiness. How long okay, let's say you eat your favorite foods right now. All of you are sitting and enjoying your favorite food. It's delicious. How long does that happiness last?
5 minutes.
Until you step on the scale, right? It lasts until it's finished. That's it. It's over. Happiness, true happiness, and again, we're going to define it soon. I'll give you an exact definition soon. Happiness is not the party. Happiness is what happens when the party is over and you go home with yourself. Does that make sense? Right? The first thing that happiness is not. Happiness is not the target. It's hard to hit that target if it keeps moving. If every week something else will make you happy, or every year something else will make you happy. So that can't be happiness. We can't depend on a certain future circumstance or occasion or event to make us happy. If we can't be happy where we are now, we won't be happy where we are in the future, because in the future, there's always going to be more future, and there's always going to be more future. So we're never going to be able to be happy if we wait for something in the future to make us happy. Sometimes we also think that a certain person will make us happy. A certain thing or a certain person. Can that happen? You said yes. A person can make you happy? Okay, so let me ask you something now, okay? What happens when that person at a certain point doesn't make you happy anymore? Right? And I'll give you an example. You don't have to answer, though. I'm not putting you on the spot. Just something to think about for a minute, okay? I taught brides for many years, okay? Young girls and young women, before they got married, they would come to learn with me for, to learn about marriage, learn about the laws of a Jewish marriage, and in general, I would give them a lot of tips and ideas about how to have a happy, healthy marriage, okay? I would always ask them, I would catch them off guard a little bit because I didn't expect this question, but I would always ask them, what made you decide to marry this guy? Like, why are you marrying him? And of course, immediately their response is, because I love him. I love him, I want to marry him. And then I would ask them, okay, why did you choose to love him? And they always look at me like I'm crazy. Why did I choose to love him? I didn't choose to love him. We just fell in love, right? And of course, then I take the opportunity to explain to them something that we're not going to get into now, but just a little bit, what love actually is, right? Because love is not something that we are victims of. Love is nothing that just happens. Love is something that we create. Love is something that we cultivate. Love is a choice. Love is an action. It's an action. We choose. So many times I get women who call me up and they say, Yaffa, I don't know what to do. I don't love my husband anymore. And I say to them, okay, so love him. And they say, no, you don't understand. I don't love him anymore. And I say, no, you don't understand. So love him. You can make that choice to still love him. You can make that choice to continue that. Every single day, we make a choice to love people. Every day, because love is a choice. So then I say to them, so why did you choose to love him? There were 300 other guys in your high school that you knew that you could have loved, but you chose him, right? And then they start thinking. 99.9% of the time, when they start thinking about why they love him and why specifically they're marrying him, what's their response? He makes me happy. He makes me happy. And I say, okay, that's nice. He makes you happy. Now, today he makes you happy. Tomorrow he's going to make you happy. In a year, he'll probably still be making you happy. What's going to happen down the line when you have real stresses in life? When you're buying a house and you have a mortgage and you have children, and who knows, maybe you'll have a child with special needs. Maybe you don't know what life is going to throw at you. You don't know what kind of stresses you're going to have in life. And suddenly, he's not making you happy anymore because life's got busy. You're not living a fairy tale anymore. He no longer makes you happy, but you know who does make you happy now? The neighbor makes you happy. The neighbor makes you feel good about yourself. Your boss is making you happy. He compliments you every day. He tells you how beautiful you are, how funny you are. Now he's making you. What's going to happen then? Right? What's going to happen then? How many movies have we watched? Right? We know the ending. Because there's no one who can actually make us happy. What they can do is they can make us happier, right? They can make us happier. But if we aren't actually happy to begin with, there's no one who can make us happy. And when I teach marriage classes, I always start off with this. I say, everybody sits down, and I look at them and I say, there is no such thing as a happy couple. And everyone's like, this is what I paid for? Like this is what? And then I explain to them, there's no such thing as a happy couple. What we have is two happy individuals who can then become a happy couple, right? Because if somebody tells me, I just need to get married already so I can finally be happy. I'm sad, I'm lonely, I'm depressed, I'm single, I just need to get married so I can be happy. You know what's going to happen when they get married? They're going to be sad, lonely, depressed, and married. That's the only thing that's going to change, right? Because it has to come from within. There's no one who can really make us happy if we don't know how to be happy from the inside. Okay? There's no one, and it's nobody's responsibility. We can't put that responsibility on someone else. It's not our husband's responsibility to make us happy. It's not our mother's responsibility. It's not our boss's responsibility. And for those of you who have children, it is not our children's responsibility. In fact, it's the opposite. It's our children's responsibility to knock us down, make us feel like nothing, make us feel like the worst possible parents, and they do a great job at it, right? It's only our responsibility. We're the only ones who can do it. It's like that with happiness. It's like that with love. Happiness and love are very closely related, right? Because they're both things that we create and we cultivate. They don't just happen to us. We don't just say, well, I'm born under the happiness star, so I'm in luck with happiness, or I'm just not. I'm doomed to not be happy. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people who are certainly born with a greater disposition for happiness, a more positive disposition. Some people are born lighter and some people are born darker in their disposition, for sure. But just because a person is born with a little bit of a heavier, darker nature, does that mean they could never achieve happiness? Of course they can, right? So we're going to talk about how. But first we need to understand that happiness cannot be based on a certain something or on a certain someone, okay? We don't want to put the key to our happiness in someone else's pocket, right? It belongs in our pocket. We're in charge of it. Okay, so that's the first thing. Let's remember, happiness, this is going back to what I said before about it not being a target. Happiness is not a destination. Happiness is a way of traveling. Okay, it's how we live our lives getting towards our destination, but it's not the destination itself. All right, let's go to the next thing. This is the third, okay? We said it's not a target, It's not someone else's or something else, or based on someone or something. And now the third one, happiness is not euphoria. Are we familiar with the feeling of euphoria? Has anyone here ever felt a real euphoric moment? You know what euphoria is? It's like this overwhelming joy. Anyone ever felt this? Yes. You want to tell us when? An example of some time that you felt real euphoria?
When I gave birth to my daughter.
When you gave birth to your daughter. That's an amazing moment, right? It's this literally this moment of anyone who doesn't have children yet, B'ezrat Hashem, I bless you with many happy children and healthy children. It's this incredible moment of absolute, unadulterated joy and happiness, right? What's another example? Somebody here raised their hand. Whoever, yes. When did you feel real euphoria?
Sorry.
It's okay.
I was in the desert, and it was pretty.
You were in the desert?
Yeah, in Israel.
Okay, and that's where you...
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you just kind of felt this incredible, light, amazing happiness and joy in the desert. That's incredible. Anyone else want to share something with us?
At the hotel.
At the kotel. Wow. That's amazing to be able to feel it in such a spiritual way. Wow. Yes.
When I was in the desert in Israel too, stargazing.
Yeah, you had that amazing moment. That's incredible. These are all great examples, and I'm sure that each one of us has our own moment where we really felt that immense joy. Now, here's the problem. The problem is that sometimes, since we love that feeling so much, sometimes we think that that's happiness. And then when we're not feeling that, we think we're not happy. Does that make sense? That feeling of falling in love, right? Everyone, either if you've experienced it, you know that feeling. If you haven't, I'm sure you could imagine. Like falling in love, and you're just like, oh my gosh, it's the most amazing feeling in the world. Or giving birth to your child, or your child's simcha, right? Unbelievable feeling. And then when you're not feeling it, you feel like something's missing, right? I'm not in love anymore. So what do you need to do? So we want to inject ourselves with more of that euphoria. And it becomes like a drug. It becomes a drug to us, right? I want to feel that again. I want to feel that immense joy, that crazy, ecstatic feeling. Because it feels so good. And this is the problem. When people fall in love and they feel that, but then again, regular life happens, instead of realizing that you fall into a place called happiness, that again we'll define soon, people think that they're falling out of love and they're not happy anymore. So you got to inject yourself with that again. What does that mean? Sorry, you got to get divorced and fall in love again with someone else because I need that feeling again. Happiness is not euphoria. Happiness is not these ups and downs of this incredible high and then an incredible low to get back to an incredible high. And do you see a pattern? People are like this with their happiness, and people are like that with their love, also with what they think is love. Sometimes people have these highs and lows, highs and lows. Happiness, my friends, is not wild, it's not loud, it's not big and high. Happiness is very calm. It's very centered. It's very balanced. We don't need those highs and lows, okay? So that's something happiness is not. And the fourth thing, I actually mentioned this before, but I'll just say it in an order. Happiness is not something you are a victim of. Happiness is something you create. Happiness is something you cultivate. Okay? So these are the four things that happiness is not. Happiness is not a state of having. Happiness is not a state of getting. Happiness is a state of being. Happiness is not something we experience. Happiness is something we become. This is actually a great line. I should get some merch. That's it. Happiness is not something we experience. Happiness is something we become. Because, what, you like that?
Patented.
Patented. Okay, thank you. Perfect. Right? Because that is actually what happiness is. Now I'm going to ask you a question. Any Hebrew speakers in the house? Great. How do you say in Hebrew, now think carefully, how do you say in Hebrew to be in a state of happiness? It's to be in a state of happiness, specifically like that. I'll give you a hint. To be Besimcha, right? In a state of happiness, to be besimcha. Now, if you take the word besimcha and you switch around the letters, what's another word that you get? Use every letter but switched around. What's another, what? Machshava, excellent. Very good. That was good, very impressed. Besimcha, you switch around the letters, you get machshava. What does machshava mean? Thoughts. Because where does happiness begin? It doesn't begin with anything that's outside of us. Happiness begins in our minds. It begins right here. It begins with our perspective, with the way we view things, with the way we view life, with the way we view ourselves, with the way we view the world, with the way we view God, with the way we view everything. That's what happiness is. And I want you to know that perspective is the superpower of a Jewish woman. Superpower of a Jewish woman. How do I know that? Well, let's get to the famous poem that is written about the Jewish woman. Which poem is that?
Eishes Chayil.
Eishes Chayil. How many people are familiar with it? Okay, so some of you are not. There is a poem. How many people, you know it also?
Yeah. Don't you say it on Shabbat?
Yeah, Friday night.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like about the woman, and that's it.
Many husbands, it's a custom, it's a tradition in our homes, many husbands serenade their wives by singing Eishes Chayil to them, or Eshet Chayil, however you pronounce it, to their wives, right? Do you experience that?
Or mumble through it.
No. In my home, I tell my husband, you have to sing for your food, mister. Like,
I make him sing.
what?
I make him sing.
You
If
make
he's
him
mumbling,
sing,
I
good for
sing
you.
along.
And you stand there like a queen and take it in. Now here's the thing with Eishes Chayil. Now, Eishes Chayil, if you don't understand it, it's a poem, 22 verses, starting with the first letter of the alphabet, Aleph, and ending with the last, which is Taf. And it is a beautiful poem, and each verse is written about the Jewish woman and its different strengths that she has, and powers and energy, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Now, if you never learned it in depth, you're missing out on the real deeper meaning behind it. Because if you just read it, it's beautiful to just read, but sometimes you read it and you're like, a little antiquated here. Like, what is she sewing the vines into clothing? Like what? Like this? What does it have to do with me? And sometimes, by the way, depending on where you grew up and what school you went to, the term Eishes Chayil can be a little triggering. No, it's like Eishes Chayil is like this expectation of a perfect woman, right? You're gonna be. We give people a blessing when they get married, or you should be an Eishes Chayil. What does that even mean? And sometimes we think like that's not me. We have this image of like this 1950s woman, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, mixing the batter with her pearls, and and you're like, I can't relate. Like that's not me. What? That's not an Eishes Chayil. An Eishes Chayil is super relatable. I'll tell you my definition of an Eishes Chayil. You want to hear? My definition of an Eishes Chayil is a woman who knows when it's time to buy takeout. Okay? It's a woman who is aware of her needs, of her family's needs, of her priorities, of what needs to be done now. And if it's a night to buy takeout, well, you go buy that takeout. That's an Eishes Chayil. Okay? Oops. Now let's get to the poem. All right? The very first verse. Eishes Chayil mi yimtza. Who can find this incredible woman? This woman of valor. This woman that is so amazing. It's hard to find a woman like this. And it continues. You listening? Because this is about you. V'rachok mipninim michra. She is so incredible that her value is greater than pearls. How beautiful is that? And you read this and you're like, wow, me? I'm more valuable than pearls? But if you're anything like me, you're going to read that verse and you're going to be like, wait a second. You're comparing me to pearls? And like that's supposed to be, hello? What about a diamond? Right? Like really, if you're going to tell me how great I am, please compare me to a diamond. Like this is second class over here, pearls. What does that mean? Why is our greatest praise over here that we're compared to pearls?
No, it's 17 verse 1 that
What?
Nobody said that it's worth more than diamond, more than pearl. It says a rochok, which is like hard to get, hard to achieve.
Okay.
Rochok meaning it's harder to get a good lady than to get a pearl from the sea.
Okay,
Doesn't say about
well,
price.
No, but michra is the value, right? That's what it means. The price, the value, right, is even greater than the value of pearls.
It's more about Nichre, which is a place that you take
Okay.
the diamond.
Okay,
from,
good. So now,
the
you see,
from.
this is beautiful what you're saying. This is how we take something that could be understood one way on a superficial level and to how to get to it in a deeper way. Right? So let's understand, based on what you're saying, let's understand, how can we understand what this actually means? Why is a pearl something that's so valuable? So what's the difference between how a pearl is made and how a diamond is made? What's the difference? Right? You're like, I don't know. Listen, I'm not a diamond expert. I'm an expert in wearing them. I'm not an expert in making them. But a diamond, as far as I understand, diamonds are made out of stones. Stones that are easily acquired. Yes, you put pressure on it, and they have to be cut properly, and they have, chiseled. They have to be polished and cleaned, and all the words that are used to make diamonds. But then you get the stone that are easily available, and you have yourself a bunch of beautiful diamonds, right? How are pearls made? Pearls are a lot more rare than diamonds, because the way a pearl is made is also a lot more difficult, a lot more complicated. It's made with through oysters. There's an oyster swimming in the sea, swimming in the ocean, okay, minding its own business. And suddenly, under its shell, it feels a grain of sand has entered. A grain of sand just went under the shell, which of course makes sense, right? There's sand all over. Now, let's understand, the reason an oyster has a shell is because it has to protect it from the elements. Because it doesn't have skin underneath, it has all the stuff that's under the skin. And the shell protects it. So could you imagine? I don't know if any of you feel like if you ever go to the beach, do you get like uncomfortable if you have sand between your toes for too long, right? It bothers you. And you have skin. So imagine if you didn't have skin, how bothersome that can be. Okay, so here we have an oyster, and sometimes there's more than one grain of sand at a time that goes under the shell. Okay, and we know that it's bothersome, it's irritating, it's painful, it's annoying, it's really uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable. But what does the oyster do about it? You know what the oyster does? The oyster becomes a poet. And the oyster recites this poem. Are you ready? He says, the oyster says, if I can't remove it, I'll improve it. That's what he says. If I can't remove it, I'll improve it. And that's what he does. He takes that irritating piece of sand and he turns it into a beautiful pearl. And that's why this is the opening statement in this poem of Eshes Chayil, describing the Jewish woman, because that's our superpower. We can take whatever disappointments we get in life. Anyone here ever been disappointed in life? How many times a day? Right? We have so many disappointments. Things don't always turn out the way we wanted them to. They don't always turn out the way we hoped them to. We have planned. Now, many of you are still young. Okay, and I do hope that all of your dreams and wishes come true. They should be the best thing for you. But many, many times in life, we have these plans, right? And then we get older. How many of them really happen? Who we're going to be and who we're going to marry and what we're going to have at certain stages in our lives and all of these plans. And then life happens and we're like, what? I didn't ask for this. This isn't what I wanted. I didn't marry the person I thought I would marry. My kids didn't come out the way I thought they were going to come out. My job isn't what I thought it would be. I thought I'd own a bigger house by now. And we have all these things. And we're like, I'm not living my plan A, right? I'm living my plan B, or sometimes C or D. We got all the way till Z, right? And sometimes it feels very disappointing. And we have two choices. We can either live our lives by focusing on the things we don't have, or we can live our lives by focusing on the things we do have, on the blessings that we were given, right? This is our superpower, to take the little grains of sand in our lives that are irritating us, that are upsetting, that are painful, that are disappointing, and we can take them and turn them into beautiful pearls. Right? That's the power we have, and that's by the power of perspective. How are we viewing life? And what we need to understand about plan A and plan B is that if we're living a life that we think is plan B, it's very hard to live life like that and be happy. Because we always feel like we are deprived of something. I was supposed to have this, or I wanted this, or this was supposed to happen. And then we feel like we're not really living our lives. Am I right? We feel like this isn't fair, life isn't fair. And we go through life feeling bitter, angry, resentful. We can never be happy that way. The only way to be happy is for us to realize one important key factor here. And if you want, ready? Listen carefully. The life that you're living right now, whatever it is, the life that you were given this life because it is your plan A. The plan A that you had before is completely irrelevant, because if this is the life Hashem gave you, then your plan A was completely irrelevant, because your plan B is really Hashem's plan A.
Wow.
Right? The life that you're calling a plan B is a life that Hashem is saying, no, sweetie, this is your plan A. This is the life I gave you because this is the life that's best for you. So we need to learn how to take a plan B that happens to us in life and flip it into a plan A. Okay? And all of that happens with the right perspective. Now, I want to talk about the definition of happiness, because happiness, again, we've made that whole list of things it's not. And what we need to understand is that we might be mistaken by what happiness actually is. Happiness doesn't mean you have to be laughing all the time. Happiness doesn't even mean you have to smile all the time. Although it's a good habit to smile, that doesn't mean you're happy or not happy. Happiness is contentment. Remember I said happiness is straight, it's balanced, right? Happiness is centered. It's not the highs, it's not the lows. Happiness means I am content. It means I accept my life for what it is. I accept my life, I accept everything in it. I accept whatever I was given. Does it mean I don't want more? Of course, you can always want more and you can always pray for more. God always wants to hear from us. But here's the key. You want to be a candidate for more happiness, for more blessing in your life? You want to have more goodness in your life? Here's how it works. Now we're talking to parents and children here, okay? So from a parent's perspective, if your child asks you for another toy, after your little boy's another Lego set, or as a child, if you ask your parents for another thing of whatever it is that you want, technology, whatever it is, right? Okay? So your child asks you for something. What's your instinct? Of course you want to give your child what they want, what you think is going to make them happy, right? But here's the thing. If the last time you bought your child this toy that they wanted, this gadget that they wanted, whatever it is, and they didn't take good care of it, they broke it, or they were rude about it, not sharing it, or not making, not using it in the right way. They were abusing it in some way. What is your reaction when they come and ask you for another one? I'm sorry, right? You didn't take good care of the first one, or you didn't use it well. Why should I give you another one? But let's say you bought your child something, and they took really good care of it. They respected it. They used it well. They enjoyed it, appreciated it, shared it, did good things with it, and now they want the next level of that toy. What's your reaction? Of course, I'm happy to get it for you, right? If you want to be a candidate for more goodness in your life, right? And we ask God, God, give me more blessing. God, give me more goodness. God, give me this. God, give me that. He says, sure, sweetie, I'd love to give it to you. But you're not appreciating all the things I already gave you. So why should I give you something else? You're not going to appreciate this either. You're going to still want more and more and more. So if we want to be a candidate for more goodness in life, we have to first start appreciating the things we already have. Really, truly appreciating the things we already have. Okay? And that's how we can get more. So this is what happiness means. To be content. To be content with what we have. To be content with who we are. Now let's not confuse contentment with complacency, right? That means we can't be happy, this is who I am and that's it. I reached my ultimate growth. No, we always have to grow. We always can want more, but only from a place of completion, not from a place of lack. Okay? So this is the definition of happiness. We're going to finish up now with another important thing. Okay? So we said true happiness means accepting your life and everything in it. It means accepting it with all the disappointments and having a positive perspective on them. And now I'm going to tell you, we're going to end off with something very powerful that I learned from my father. Okay? Now, this is an example of how we can really truly be where we are, accept the things we have, accept the life we have, and all the little things that happen in it, and still be happy. Again, a lot of it, it's all really about perspective. I'll share something very personal with you just because this is fresh and new. Some of you might understand this a little more than others, but I went through something very difficult just yesterday. I'm actually still in the middle of it right now. I actually had a miscarriage yesterday. Okay, I had a pregnancy that ended yesterday. I could have called up Ricky and said, you know what, Ricky, I'm just not feeling up to it now. I'm feeling up to it. Life was very difficult for me yesterday, and I just want to curl up in bed. I don't have to come out there, get dressed, talk, connect. I just want to sit on the couch with my Netflix, I could have said that. But then I realized, and by the way, this was a pregnancy that I waited 10 years for.
Oh my God.
Baruch Hashem, I have other healthy children. Baruch Hashem. But my youngest is 10, and I was, very much looking forward to this baby, right? But Hashem had other plans. He had other plans. And I had to make a choice, right? This was my plan A. I'm going to have this baby, and I was making all these plans already. And by the way, my oldest daughter is getting married. And I was about to buy this beautiful maternity gown for her wedding, right? And now I'm like, not that, and I have to get a different gown, which is fine. But that was my plan A, right? And now I have to think of how to take this, what could be a plan B, and turn it into a plan A. I'm working on that now. That's something I am currently working on, right? And here's what I decided yesterday. I decided that I lost this life that I had inside me. I could just curl up in bed, or I can get up and I could create life in a different way. I can go and try to inspire people and create life like that. Help other people feel inspired by their lives, right? That's also creating life. And that is how I'm trying to turn my plan B into my plan A. And I want to share something about my father, who's the man who taught me how to do this, right? How to become a person who focuses on the good. Now, in order for you to understand this story about my father, I need to spend a few minutes telling you a little bit about who he was. My father passed away a few years ago. He was sick for quite a few years with multiple sclerosis. Are you familiar with multiple sclerosis? Okay. So it is a disease, it's hard to explain it, but just in a nutshell, for those of you who don't know, it's a disease that affects the nervous system, okay? So once the nervous system is affected, everything in the body stops working because everything is connected to the nervous system, okay? So slowly but surely, everything in his body started dying. It was a chronic illness, and slowly, my mother calls it a 20-year death, because he was sick for 20 years, and it was, every month he got worse and worse and worse. So the last 5 years of his life, he was completely paralyzed from his neck down, and he was in bed, and he couldn't do anything, okay? Now my father was the kind of person who, he was known for his beautiful smile. His radiant smile, he would light up the room with his smile, okay? And everyone knew him like this, and we were so blessed that up until the end of his life, till the last 2 weeks, nothing worked anymore except his smile. And he just lied in his bed smiling. Okay, anytime he heard anyone approach, he just smiled. And he was a man who never complained about anything, ever. Never complained. Never a why me, never a it's not fair, never a hashtag FML, never. He was just so happy and content regardless of his pain. He just accepted everything, which is an amazing thing in the first place. Now, my father, many people used to come to him to read to him. He was lying in bed and they would read stories, they would talk about the Parsha, they would try to give him inspiration somehow, and everybody used to walk out of his room saying, why do I feel more inspired by him than he is by me? Because he was just that kind of person, even without saying a word. And he also would lie in bed every day, and again, I have to tell you a little bit about him just so that you understand who he was and the lesson that I learned from him, okay? He would lie in bed every morning. Now remember, he was completely paralyzed, he couldn't speak, he couldn't move, and he always had either an aide with him or one of my family members who would wrap his tefillin on him every day. And one of my brothers had pre-recorded the whole morning prayers for him. Okay, so he would lie there listening on his big headphones. He would lie there listening to the morning prayers for my brother, and with his tefillin, he'd just lie there for hours, and that's how he prayed. Okay? When he was losing his speech, anytime his mouth would move, and before he lost it completely, he had a little bit of a whisper. Anytime his mouth would move, anyone who was around and saw his mouth move, anyone in my family, they would run over to him and they would put their ear to his mouth to hear what he's trying to say. Now, when I say anybody, we got a lot of testimonies. I come from a very large family. There's a talk for another time, okay? But I have, bli ayin hara, 10 biological siblings and 8 foster siblings. Okay, the whole story, how we took in a lot of foster kids from abused families, okay? So you can imagine we had a minimum of 20 people. Yeah, I learned how to dance waiting online for the bathroom, okay? That's the kind of home I grew up in. All right, so you could just imagine that, the lots of testimonials, every single person who would put their ear to my father's mouth to hear what he was saying said one of 2 things. There were always the same 2 things that he would say. One of them was, Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha. These were the words he kept repeating to him. There is a verse in the 2nd book of the Torah, in the Parsha of Shemos. There is a verse that says, Hamakom asher ata omed alav admat kodesh hu. I'll explain it now. This is a verse, this was God talking to Moshe. And he said to him, Moshe, Hamakom asher ata omed alav admat kodesh hu, the place on which you are standing right now is a very holy place. He was actually standing at the burning bush. You all familiar with the story? He was standing at the burning bush. And it was a holy place because in the future, the holy temple was going to be built there. Okay? And he said to him, you're standing, and the place that you're standing right now is a very holy place. So he said, take off your shoes, show it respect. And Moshe did that. These words, Hamakom asher ata omed alav admas kodesh hu, the place on which you are standing right now, wherever you are in your life, wherever you're standing socially with your friends, if you're having a hard time socially, if you're having a hard time financially, wherever you're standing now financially, physically, whoever you're married to, whoever you were given as parents, wherever you live, the children you got, your life circumstances, wherever you are right now in your life, that is your holy place. And it's from that place that Hashem wants you to serve Him. not from another place. Because how many times do we say, I'll give tzedakah when I have more money? Right now, I don't have money. I can't give anyone else charity. I don't have enough money, right? I still need to make more. How many times do we say, when I'm in a good place emotionally, then I can be there for other people, right? If I am happy, then I can make other people happy. But right now, I'm busy with myself, right? How many times do we say things like that? Right? If my father would have said, I will inspire other people when I can get up and actually inspire them. I'll smile at people when I have something to smile about, right? I'll pray to God when I can actually stand up and open my mouth and pray to him. I will serve him and do all these things when I get better. If my father would have said that, he never would have done all those amazing things he did. He never would have inspired the thousands of people who came to his funeral, who all called him Abba. Right? He never would have been able to pray and to serve God the way he did and to bring so much happiness into our home and into the lives of so many. You know why? Because he never got better. There was no when I get better. He never got better. He had to serve God wherever he was in his life in that moment. And that is the lesson of happiness, my friends. That's the lesson. We have to take whoever we are, whatever we have, and realize that this is our holy place. This is exactly where we're supposed to be. When you wake up in the morning and you say, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. God put me here for a reason, in this life circumstance for a reason. And it's from this place that I have to serve him. And if it's a place filled with sand, then we need to know that we have the ability to take that sand and turn it into pearls. But it all comes from accepting life, being thankful for the blessings that we have. And we have that opportunity every single day. Every day we have the opportunity to wake up and to say, Modeh ani, right? What's the first thing we say when we open our eyes in the morning? What's the first thing we do in the morning?
Thank Hashem.
No, we check WhatsApp. That's first. Or TikTok or whatever you're checking in the morning. After that, we say Modeh ani, right? Modeh ani is the first thing we do when we wake up. What's the first word out of our mouth? Modeh. What does that mean, Hebrew speakers? Thank you. But if you think about it, by the way, the wording, right? The wording is a little bit backwards if you think about it. What?
Like I'm saying, like the present tense of your thinking.
Exactly. What would be really grammatically the correct way to say it? Ani modeh, right? Ani modeh, I'm thankful. Why do we say the word modeh ani, which is kind of like backwards, instead of saying ani modeh? Because could you imagine the difference in our day if we wake up and the first word out of my mouth is ani, me, it's all about me. But no, I wake up and the first word out of my mouth is modeh, thankful, grateful, right? Because that has to be the perspective. The perspective has to be how thankful we are for every single blessing in our lives, even though we might want other things. And of course we can ask God for them, and of course we can pray for them. But it has to come from a place of feeling fulfilled with what we already have, and not from feeling empty from the things we don't have. And that's what I wanted to share with you tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining me.